Welcome to the show, everyone. My name is Cody Coda. You guys are in for a real treat today. I've got a special guest. His name is Gordon Watson. He's definitely a legend. How you doing, Gordon?
Excellent. How about you?
Awesome. Very good. Well, thank you for coming on. So let's dive right into it. Gordon, how'd you get into the business?
Well, I got into the business. I met my wife in college. And as we began dating, her father owned the company that I own now. And I came over to pick her up for a date one day, and he had just come in and he sold a house. And I don't know how the conversation came up, but he said he made $1,500. And that was more money than I was making in a month working as a waiter. And I said, "You made $1,500 selling a house. I could sell a house." He said, "Well, go get your license." So I did, and I sold one the first week and made more than $1,500. So yeah, just basically through my wife. She's an only child, and her father owned the company, and I didn't know what else I was going to do. So I've always been in sales. I've always been able to sell things. And so I thought, well, heck, I can sell a house. So I jumped in. This was back in 1986.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So did you quit your job right then when you got your check? Or were you like, well, like how long did it take for you to be like, maybe I can go ahead and quit, or did you quit right then?
No, I didn't immediately. I continued waiting tables and selling real estate part-time. And the restaurant I was working at the time was called 50 Yard Line. It's a steak and seafood restaurant. And I came in for my Sunday lunch shift, only to find out that Sunday dinner would be my last shift, and they were closing the restaurant. Fortunately, I had several sales on the board at the time. And so that was my transition into full-time real estate.
Oh, wow. So they were actually going to shut down that restaurant, and you had already kind of found, the next avenue for you, huh?
Right.
That's pretty neat. So how long have you been in business? You said you've been for how many years now?
35.
35. Wow.
35 years as of last month.
Is there anything you haven't seen?
Well, probably, but I've seen a lot.
I bet. Okay, awesome. So how many offices or agents do you kind of lead? That way kind of the viewers can kind of get an idea of, what your perspective's like.
Right. So I just have the one office. We have what we refer to as our satellite office next door. It's just an overflow office because we ran out of space in the building I'm in. And so basically the way my office is constructed, I have 7 children. My oldest daughter is one of my salespeople. And so I operate with a team and she operates with a team. So I'm the broker and owner of the whole company, but within that company, there are 2 teams, Brianne's and myself. Right now I have 10 full-time people on my sales team. This is a recent transition I've made over the last couple of years. I have 10 people on my team right now with 12 other committed to joining. So I like to hire brand new salespeople. So I've got people, all of them in different stages of getting their real estate license and coming to work for me. So got a total of 22 coming on board, 10 active right now.
Awesome. Small army, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So how did you transition? I know this is a big question for a lot of folks. There seems to be a lot of, more, brokerages opening up and everything. So we really kind of want to take a little bit of deep dive and picking your brain of somebody that's got so much knowledge in this area. How did you make that transition from an agent and then to the role that you're in today as the actual managing broker?
Yeah. Well, not the way that you would want to. My father-in-law, who was the managing broker at the time, died suddenly in August of 2006. And I've been saying, I really need to get my broker's license. I really need to get my broker's license. I really need to get my broker's license. And I didn't get my broker's license. He died suddenly. And fortunately, I had one of the salespeople here at the office had a broker's license. So we were able to operate under his broker's license until I could hurry up and get mine.
Oh, wow. So it was just literally out of necessity of a need to step in and fill that.
Yeah, we always knew I was going to take over the company, but we didn't realize how soon it was going to be.
Gotcha. So early struggles, maybe early wins for you, stepping into that kind of role. It's obviously, or is it a different role from just skill sets, mind you, from just being an agent and to step
Yeah,
into that
it
leadership?
is.
Go ahead.
I mean, he used to be the guy that all the agents would go to with the questions and legal questions, and now I'm the guy. And so there's a certain set of knowledge and skills that you have when you're a sales associate, and then there's another set of knowledge and skills you have to have when you're the broker. And so it just took me a while of studying and kind of figuring out what it was that I didn't know. So that transition, I'm still learning. I mean, I don't know it all by far. I'm still learning, but just trying to be able to properly answer questions and deal with issues and know the right way to do things.
Yeah, no, that's good. Was there any I don't know, leadership material or anything out there that you kind of grabbed and was really useful to you during that transition that maybe you kind of revisit or was glad that it was around back then? Or where does
Right.
someone go to the level up with those skills?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I had a unique situation. So at the time that this took place, I've been a professional real estate coach and trainer now for 25, 26 years. I worked for the Mike Ferry organization as a coach starting in 1996. And I worked for him for 20 years.
Wow.
So I was coaching an average of 75 real estate agents a week, with 30-minute calls per week. So you take 30 minutes times 75 calls, and that's a lot of calls. So I was managing all those people. I was dealing with all the problems and questions and challenges. So that really prepared me stepping into the role that I stepped into.
Yeah, it sounds like you were pretty well equipped and prepared then. If you were in that coaching space already, kind of being that guide and mentor to agents. Wow. Okay. Awesome. How would you describe, Gordon, your management style or your philosophy?
Right. So, my management style, I think I would use the word encouragement. I'm an encourager.
Love that.
Okay. I get a lot more pleasure, especially at this particular stage of my life. I get a lot more pleasure in helping, a brand new licensee or, somebody newer in the business to develop their skills, develop their business, start to better themselves, better their life. I could go on and on about the success stories that I have with the people that are on my team right now. I mean, there's one girl in particular that I hired as my personal assistant. She didn't know anything about real estate, nothing. I learned a long time ago that I don't hire on all of the qualifications they have. I hire people based upon their character. I hire them on who they are, because I can teach skills. I can't teach character.
Good.
And so I hired her based upon her character. She wound up being a phenomenal assistant for me, probably the best that I'd ever had. And she worked for me for 18 months. She saw the money that all of my other salespeople were making, and she said, "Hey, I think I'd like to do that." So this year, 2021, is her second year in the business as a salesperson. She started February of 2020. So she went from not doing anything about real estate to this year she's on track to make well over $500,000 in income.
Wow.
And I can give you multiple success stories similar to that.
Right?
So that's what really revs me up. I enjoy helping other people. Like I said, I coached for many, many years and just got, a lot of satisfaction with helping people. I enjoyed, of course, I was good at listing and selling real estate, and I enjoyed that. And I got satisfaction from that. It was just different. It's like when I'm coaching and training and helping other people, it's a bigger picture. Wow. It's not just me. It's that I'm helping others, and as a result, it's a good feeling. And so that's really where my passion is coaching, training, and helping develop other salespeople. I've sold over 4,000 homes over my career personally. I've coached real estate agents for 25, 26 years. And so I just chose to blend those two skill sets and start mentoring other people.
That's awesome. This isn't a coach, but I'd be remiss if I don't take the opportunity. And I'm sure it's kind of almost like prescriptions with, agents in terms of those coaching sessions. But
Yeah.
if you were to say kind of overall from a coach, what do you think that the biggest thing that agents need to kind of work on or to handle that would propel their business? And I understand everybody's different. What would you say is kind of the biggest takeaway that you find most often in coaching sessions?
Sure. That's a quite easy answer. I covered it yesterday in my team meeting. And it's the formula of be, do, have. Okay. Most people, when they set a goal and they say, okay, I want to do something, okay, they immediately start with the actions. I have to get my schedule straight. I have to start prospecting. I have to learn these scripts and dialogues and these objection handlers and learn my presentation, and learn all these different things. But the thing that they're skipping is their mindset, because nobody is ever going to perform at a level that is greater than their own self-image.
Mhm.
So if you set a goal to sell 50 homes a year, but you see yourself as a 10 or 15 deal a year producer, that's all you're going to ever produce. Okay. Because when it comes to your own personal production, you're never going to surprise yourself. You're always going to produce at the level that you see yourself as being. So the first step with any agent is they've got to start exposing themselves. They've got to start educating themselves, to start building their confidence and changing their self-image, therefore changing their expectations of what they're going to accomplish. Because until they do that, it doesn't matter how good of a plan they have.
I agree 100% on that. This is a treat for me to talk to you and kind of ask these questions. I'm curious to know this, because there's a lot of, people, advocating the why.
Mhm.
Do you think the who may be the first question they should kind of solve and handle before they go to the why, or why or why not? Or
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, I know what you mean when you say the who. Explain
who
that.
is in terms of their internal ID of who they
Yeah.
are?
You mean who am I? Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. They've got to figure that out. The why is something people struggle with for a long time. And a lot of times the struggle with the why is, number one, let's say somebody gets new in the business and you've been a very successful agent yourself. So they may look at you and say, I want what Cody has. Okay. I want what Cody has. And so they try to take your goals and adopt them. Or what you find is they're not exposing themselves to enough people, to enough situations, to enough opportunities to really open up their mind to see what they can do. So what I find, Cody, is the why tends to evolve. It tends to evolve. And sometimes we just spend too much time thinking about it, and as opposed to working on who we are and improving our self-image and the expectations we have of ourselves. Because most people don't realize what they can accomplish. Just like the salesperson I was telling you, she's going to make $500,000 this year. When I met her, she was driving an old rundown, taped together Toyota. She just went out and bought a brand new, whatever that huge Audi SUV, the 8, whatever something, was nearly $100,000 car. She's got a brand new custom home under construction right now. Just she's able to do things that she never thought that she could do. And if you said to, if you asked her right up front, what are your goals? She wouldn't have even known that those were possible goals that she could achieve. Does that make sense?
No, it absolutely does. And you've got a great way of kind of elaborating and breaking this down. It almost sounds like she got a different identity.
She did.
One could say.
She absolutely did.
That's awesome.
She's a
So
complete
let me
different
ask you this. Franchise route, that's
Right.
a question obviously a new or existing broker might have. Should I go the franchise route? Should I go independent? What's your take on that? And
Right. I don't know that I'm the best person to ask. I mean, the company that I own is an independent company. And we were established in 1978. We're actually one of the oldest companies in the city.
wow, I
We've
didn't know that.
never franchised. We've had lots of people approach us, but quite honestly, it never made sense. You know, they kept, I'm gonna make a statement, and that is not intended to sound arrogant, but make them across that way. I remember sitting down with Century 21, and they were telling me, you know, how that if we affiliated with Century 21, that, you know, we would produce at a much higher level. We get this, we get that, we get something else. And I asked them a question that ended the conversation. I said, you know, if Century 21 is so great, then how come I'm outselling every one of your Century 21 agents? That ended the conversation.
Fair question.
Yep. So I didn't see why I should pay a franchise fee, you know, and have them dictate the way that I'm going to do things, when the way I was doing things was working pretty well already. Now, for somebody that's brand new in the business, getting started up right now, I probably would recommend a franchise. If they don't already have their systems and tools in place, then that's one of the things the franchise will offer you, is systems and tools. But in my case, we already had them in place, and we weren't looking for a replacement.
What I want to point out, Gordon, is, and for what it's worth, you went right to the heart of it for me in terms of, you know, the systems and processes, you know, that it may, or, you know, be able to have for it to take that. Where I think a lot of other, you know, brokers also may have the idea of, well, I need that image or that company brand name,
right,
to move in the market. But you're like, no, systems and processes. I get it. Okay. Let me ask you this, because it may kind of lead into that. What does it take to be a successful broker, do you think, in your opinion?
Now, when you say a successful broker, are you asking me like to have a bunch of salespeople up under you, or to be successful in listing and selling homes?
I would say as a broker for
Okay.
the operations, for you to be successful in the position that you're in.
Right, right. So, you know, I recruit every day right now. Okay. And I believe that selling is simply a transference of belief. Okay. So if you're wanting to recruit people to your company, the first thing that you've got to do is sell yourself on your company. You've got to ask yourself, if I was an independent agent right now, why would I come to work for me? And if you can't answer that question, you're not going to be very effective. So the first sale that you've got to make is to yourself. And once you're sold, then it's a whole lot easier to sell others.
I agree 100%. By the way, I love that. Perfect answer in my book for that. What would you say is your least favorite aspects of being, you know, the broker, and like, what are your kind of your favorite, you know, aspects of that job?
Yeah. My least favorite part of being a broker is there's a whole lot of rules in place that don't make a whole lot of sense. You know, and dealing with the legality side of, you know, complying with the real estate commission and making sure you do everything just right. You know, there's times when doing everything just right conflicts with, what do I want to say? Doesn't always make sense. Okay, I'll put it that way. So that's probably my least favorite side, is dealing with all the legalities. You know, my most favorite side is teaching people how to get out there and list and sell homes, how to help the public, how to achieve their goals, how to develop themselves, how to offer great customer service. You know, that's the fun part. You know, dealing with all the other stuff has to be done, but it's not the fun part.
No, I get it. And I can just see the energy and the passion inside of you start going to those things. So it really resonates that that's true, that those are your favorite things. I can see that very clear. What does your support system look like today, kind of in the brokerage? So, and maybe take us through the revolution from perhaps kind of when you first started it, and kind of where you're at today, in case somebody's just getting into it. They don't think they got to hire all these people, maybe. Or,
yeah. Well, if a new agent was starting today, now, one of the trends that is much different than what I started is the team concept. The team concept didn't really exist when I started. But now when a new agent starts today, then they have a choice to make. They can either go independent, build up their own business, or they can join a team. and more agents are choosing to join a team. If you join a team, then the support systems, procedures, all that, you're stepping into a functioning system. If you're going to be independent, then you have to ask yourself, all right, what is it that I intend to do? Am I going to do this part-time? Am I supplementing my spouse's income? Am I supplementing my retirement? Or do I really intend to build a career out of this? That's the first question that I would ask. The next question I would ask then is, okay, what's my financial position look like right now? Okay, because if you're in a good financial position, I would hire an assistant on day one. Okay, because there are money making activities and there are money servicing activities. And if you want to increase your business, you want to increase your income, you've got to spend your time on the money making activities and let somebody else deal with the money servicing activities. Not everybody has that choice. So sometimes you have to do it all yourself. I'd say probably that's most people. But if you have the finances, you want to be independent, and you want to make a career out of this business, I would hire an assistant right off the bat.
Great answer, man. Wow, these just about every answer here is jam-packed with nuggets. So I'm sure everybody's going to get a wealth of knowledge and enjoy this as much as I do.
Good. I'm glad to give my input.
What do you think are the biggest misconceptions that somebody has going into it that maybe you just want to go ahead and dispel right now for them?
Well, probably the biggest thing that I hear, as I'm interviewing new people, and I ask them, what is it that attracts you to real estate? And they'll say, I like people and houses. Okay. Well, that's not really real estate. It is, but it's not. If you want to be successful in real estate, you've got to learn more than just people and houses. So, I'm a really good decorator. I like decorating houses. That doesn't qualify you to be a great real estate agent. Okay. So probably the biggest misconception is what it really takes to be a great real estate agent. A great real estate agent is a salesperson. I ask new salespeople, I say, so what are we selling? And without fail, they always say, we're selling houses. No, we're not selling houses. What are we selling? I don't know. Then what are we selling? Well, we're selling ourselves. Mm-hmm. We're selling our services. People are going to buy or sell a house with or without you. There's somebody's going to buy, there's somebody going to sell. Your job as a real estate agent is to get in the middle of it. Okay?
Absolutely.
And so the biggest misconception is, I just like people and houses, or I'm a great decorator, so I'll make a great real estate agent. No, you've got to be a great salesperson. You got to be able to sell yourself. You got to be able to sell your services. And that starts with selling yourself to yourself.
First sell is to yourself. Absolutely. You're 100% right on this stuff. Wow. This is awesome. Okay. So what is your perfect, if there was a piece of software or a piece of technology that you just would not want to run your business or brokerage without, what is that piece that's kind of your go-to favorite thing you got to have?
Oh, I'm not, I use technology, but I'm not a huge technology guy. I've got people that run it for me. I've got a CRM that I use to manage my team. I also opened up March of this year. I opened up my own real estate coaching company along with a partner of mine. And over the last 2 years, I've been developing a program that is designed to manage teams. And I use that with my business and as well as with my own team. I'd probably say that piece of software, because I literally hired a computer programmer, and between the two of us, we spent the last 2 years creating a program that is phenomenal. And so that's probably the answer I would give you.
No, that's awesome. And now, is that available to folks outside of your team, or they have to join the team in order to get those benefits?
No, they have to join my team or join my coaching. They have to hire me as a coach.
Gotcha. And that's awesome. I definitely want to get those resources here at the end to get people hooked up to that. What's your market prediction? There's a lot obviously, let's talk a little bit about that, like what the current market situation is today. I'm sure you probably haven't seen it. I'm going to guess the way the situation is, or maybe you have. Um, Talk a little bit about the current atmosphere and then kind of where do you see it going?
Yeah, no, I've seen a lot of different markets over my career. This is by far the craziest market I've ever been a part of. We've done a good job of adapting to it. And I think that's one of the qualities of a great broker and leader is you have to know how to adapt because the market doesn't just stay one way. It's constantly moving and changing. And you've got to be able to stay ahead of it and move and change with it if you're going to survive. That being said, my prediction, we're getting ready to see, in my opinion, we're getting ready to see a lot of homes hit the market, a lot of foreclosed property that has not gone on the market is getting ready to hit. They have lifted the word's escaping me, where people don't have to pay their rent; they can still stay in the house, rent abatement or whatever. They've lifted that, and so you're going to see more homes hit the market because right now we're just dealing with an incredible demand and a huge supply problem. So it's just simple supply and demand economics that's causing this frenzy right now. As the supply increases, that's going to help. The demand, I think, is going to start to settle interest rates. I think interest rates are probably going to stay pretty low for a while. There's some other things, not to make this a political call, but all you have to do is look at the gas pump and you can tell that people's budgets are being affected, okay, amongst other, for other reasons as well. So as we have inflation, as people's dollars, go, less and less, then that's going to affect things as well. So, and then the other thing we're dealing with is people are starting to get over the whole COVID problem, and a lot of the inventory issues that we had were that people did not want strangers going through their home and possibly touching things and infecting them.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't put their home on the market. And now that that's starting to go away, I think people are going to be more comfortable with listing their home for sale while they're still living in it and allowing other people to go through their home. So a combination of those things, I think, is going to start to stabilize the market. I think it's probably going to happen, if I had to guess, towards the end of this year, first part of next year. I think you'll gradually start to see things normalize. I tell my salespeople a normal market, a house will sit on the market for 30, 60, 90 days, not 30, 60, 90 minutes. That's not a normal market.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. So at some point, okay, it's going to normalize, right? But my question is the more and more I talk to folks that just have that experience, I kind of get the sense that they can almost see around corners. And I think that's just part of that wisdom that you get over time. But when we get back to normal, is it business as normal? Or do you think after the normalization, what we go through may change the way we do business in our industry at some level? Or do you think it's just going to, what's your thoughts?
The real estate industry is continuing to evolve. There's no question. I mean, as we've gone through this whole pandemic, the world as a whole has learned how to work in a different way. People working from home and, people just like you and I doing this Zoom call. Prior to the pandemic, Zoom wasn't even as popular. Now people are living on Zoom, working on Zoom. So the technology is changing. It's just continuing to evolve. There's new pieces of technology, programs that are being introduced into the market every day. The way people are finding their business is changing. So there's constant changes. You can't just dig your heels in and say, this is the way I'm going to do it, or the market will pass you by.
No, that's good. That's good. Thank you for that. What do you think would be, and you've definitely given a ton of advice, but what would you say if you could kind of impart, one nugget, what would be the best piece of advice you would give somebody that may be thinking about, stepping into the broker space, if they want to, launch their own company or own brand?
Right. I would say set your ego aside. Okay. Realize what it is that you don't know. Find people that know more than you. Listen, learn from them, let them mentor you. Okay. You got to pay your dues. Nobody just steps into success, right off the bat. So you've got to be humble and willing to learn from others.
Get a good coach, sounds like. That's awesome. What would you be doing, Gordon, if you weren't in real estate?
That's funny. If I weren't in real estate, I've told my wife, now the problem is it doesn't pay enough, so there's no way that I would do it. But if money didn't matter and I wasn't doing anything in real estate coaching, I would be a basketball coach and a high school algebra teacher.
Oh, wow. No kidding.
Yeah, I've always been good in math. My wife, she was going through college. She had a terrible math teacher in high school. And I had a great math teacher and went through several levels in high school. And she came down to, she had to pick a class to graduate. She could either pick biology, and it had a lab with it, or college algebra. And she was scared to death of college algebra. And I said, that's a no-brainer. Why would you want to do a lab? So I'll tutor you through college algebra. She had the highest grade in the class, didn't have to take the final,
Yeah, good coach.
and she had a good teacher. So yeah, I would teach algebra and coach basketball.
I was going to ask if you had somebody. I think you kind of answered that was that person for you, that you kind of, that was a great, teacher for you, or great coach at that time, that kind of inspired you to kind of walk in that, on that path. So that's neat. That's all my questions today. Yeah, Gordon, was there anything specifically that you kind of wanted to talk about or mentioned or anything like that before we sign off here?
No, I mean, I would mention, if anybody is interested in being coached. Now, you mind if I talk about my coaching company?
Oh, please. I definitely want, I want to hear it.
So it's myself, and I have a partner that's working with me. His name is Steve Powers. He and I both have 25 years plus experience in coaching real estate agents. And the program that we're offering is not for beginner agents. I describe it as more of a PhD level program. Because what we are doing is we're specifically helping people to grow and develop teams, and the whole team concept. Okay. And in order to do that, you have to have experience at listing and selling homes. You have to know what you're doing there. B, you have to be able to be able and be willing to teach others. Okay. And so we're looking for people that are wanting to build teams, wanting to create passive income, and leverage the skills and the experience that they've developed over the years of selling real estate. And we're called Watson Powers Coaching. You can go to our website, watsonpowers.com, and that will give you a better description of what we're doing in the coaching world.
That's a really cool name. What was that website again? You said Watson
Powers.
Watson Powers.
watsonpowers.com.
Awesome. Well, very good. Definitely check that out. I know I will be. Gordon, I appreciate you coming on the show. You're a gentleman, a scholar, and somebody that I've always looked up to, and being in the listing circuit here in Oklahoma, it's hard not to know you and look up to you in that regard. So I appreciate that you've done and are doing for agents here in our market. So
thank you. Great to see you again.
Thanks, Gordon.